Hello, everyone. I'm Sanjana Pandit, and welcome back to Infusions of Art, a mini-series dedicated to spotlighting some of Houston Methodist Hospital's renowned physician artists and artist caregivers. For today's episode, we will be hearing from Dr. Gulchin Ergun. Dr. Gulchin Ergun is a gastroenterologist at Houston Methodist Hospital. She received her medical degree from Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine and has been in practice for more than 20 years. Dr. Ergun has extensive experience in pancreatic disease, anal and rectal disorders, and gastrointestinal disorders. While Dr. Ergun splits her time between administrative and educational endeavors, at her heart she is a clinician first. She is proud to be a doctor's doctor and honored to be recognized as a go-to gastroenterologist for difficult cases. She believes in excellence in medicine and doing the right thing at the right time, round the clock. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Ergun, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for inviting me. It's not often I get to be interviewed for something fun like this, so I think that's pretty cool.
Just to start off with, I would love to know more about your medical background. So what made you want to become a doctor, specifically one that specializes in the digestive system?
So I honestly wanted to be a doctor since I was a little kid. I mean, I remember being probably 5 or 6. Adults often ask little kids what they want to be when they grow up. I mean, as if they don't know what else to ask a little kid, right? But I always remember saying that I wanted to be a doctor. Now, both my parents were physicians, so sometimes you wonder if this could be modeling, but I don't feel like that. Maybe you don't know what to say in the beginning, but I feel like part of my job in life is just taking care of people, whether that's at work or at home or whatever. And I don't think that I knew, even though my parents were doctors, I don't think I really understood how much this field was for me until I actually went to medical school. Because you spend your whole life preparing for getting in. That's all you do. You go through, I don't know how many years of school just to get in. And then once you actually start, medical school was so much more fun. And I loved everything that we were learning. And when we actually got to take care of people, it was even better. I just had a hunch that that was what I wanted to do. I majored in natural sciences, but also I was a French major. I mean, I like languages.
So if someone had asked you, if you had not pursued medicine as a career, what alternative career could you have considered? Would that have even been an option for you? You always were pretty set on becoming a physician.
I was always pretty set on it, but I used to think that if I had to pick something, it would be journalism, because it's still an investigation of well, if you take it as a personal story or of an issue, and trying to relate that to other people. And sometimes there's problem solving that goes along with that. So I always thought that that could be an option. And it turns out that medicine is a lot of storytelling every day. There's story listening every day. And maybe it does kind of combine both those things in some ways.
I love that. Medicine is storytelling. Not only are you a physician, but you also have an impressive array of publications, and you've expressed now your love for journalism. So I'd love to hear more about this artistic side of you.
Well, I've always been a reader. I mean, there is no doubt. We were the kids. My parents used to sometimes take us to the library. In those days, you had to check out books. The interest in the word and stories has always been present. But in terms of when did it start for me, I wasn't that kid scribbling in the corner. I might have kept a diary for a while, but I didn't write. I didn't have some idea of a book or anything like that. It was only professional writing. So I can tell you that I started writing maybe only about 15 years ago. And that was because, Imprint's this wonderful, wonderful organization here in Houston. It's just superb. And they were co-hosting a class in our hospital. And it was actually a potpourri class. I think it was described as poetry, essay, whatever. And it was only going to be 6 or 8 weeks. And I was like, why wouldn't I take that? I don't even have to like drive anywhere to go take the class. And it was a group of, I don't know, 15 people. And she said, we're going to do an in-class writing exercise, which I didn't think that was how those things were conducted, but that's how they are. And she said, draw a floor plan of the first house you lived in, and then like write something about it. I was like this side of, okay, this is hokey and I don't want to do this, but it actually stirred up a lot and I so enjoyed it. Whether it was the poetry or the personal essay, I just really enjoyed it. And so that I might have even been in that class, that first piece, I started getting excited about doing more of it. And I had written this personal essay. And you know how you flip through, they have these magazines, I think it was called Poets and Writers or something, one of them, something like that. In the back, it had a call for, this journal is looking for blah, 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 or it was for a book. And I submitted this essay to it, and lo and behold, the thing was accepted. They actually used the title of my essay for the title of the book. So it was really cool. But so that's a whole other joy to see something that you wrote to be in print. But I think the process of thinking about experiences that you would like to share with other people was probably the biggest and most important part for me.
If you had, $1 worth of time in an ideal week, how much would you spend on writing? Just pure, unfiltered, creative writing, sharing your stories, getting your thoughts out. How much would you spend doing that, and how much would you spend doing medicine? And in reality, what's the actual amount of time you spend on each?
Okay, I'll talk about like the ideal time. So say you work a 40-hour a week and that's $40, right? An hour per your week of work, which medicine is more than 40 hours anyway, but let's call it 40. I would probably spend close to half of it writing, or say 15 out of $40, because it's silly to think that I would never do medicine, because I'm not at that point in my life where I feel like I want to drop it and not do it. But I think that I would like to spend a lot more time writing, because I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I think I would describe myself as I'm a very social person. And when you're in medicine, you are meeting people all day long. When you have a clinic, means you're meeting a patient, you're meeting their family, you're talking to the nurses, and the writerly life is, it can be sort of solitary, unless you go places where there's other people who are doing that. And that's not the way that I do it. So, maybe that would be an overestimation of how much I would really be doing it.
Writing as, being a place of solitude away from what is otherwise a very social experience in the medical field, meeting your patients, meeting their families, like you just said. How has this writing background of yours, though, actually enhanced your medical career? Maybe the way you approach caring for someone, or any thoughts?
I think that you can create even better mindfulness about what you are doing and being in the moment when you're discussing things with patients. I also think that for me, it allows me to think just a little bit more clearly of what I'm trying to express, and also whether what I am expressing is being heard. And I think sometimes as you reflect upon your experiences, you can see how some things could be improved in terms of situations that have happened or things that have happened to people. So I think that I intentionally work on that a little bit more on good days. There are plenty of bad days where it's like I'm busy and I don't have time to spend a lot of times thinking about it. But I do think that it forces me to slow down like this much and to just pay a little bit more attention and be more mindful.
Mm. Do you see that as the number one benefit that you achieve when you know, are spending time away immersed in a writing project, the idea of that mindfulness?
I don't think that, okay, from the selfish side, the mindfulness is it's a good thing in terms of that dialogue and interaction with a patient and their family or residents and students, all those people. But the part that is selfishly that I like about it is actually that it takes me away from medicine for a little bit. You can crystallize your thoughts, and you are focusing on something completely different, and it rests your brain so that you can come back to it and you are somewhat refreshed by it in some ways. So for me, it's I don't want to call it escape because that's too strong of a word, but it is uh, giving your mind peace a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As a high school student myself, what advice would you give, you know, high school and college students who are interested in perhaps pursuing a career in medicine, but are, you know, considering how to balance that with an artistic pursuit?
I think first, if you're considering a career in medicine, I think it's there. Most people's only understanding of medicine is if a family member got sick, if they broke a leg or something, or television. You know, those are the three big ways. And I think I mentioned that both my parents were doctors. And honestly, even though I thought I had some understanding, I had no understanding of what being a doctor was like. It gave me so much more insight into the way things were at home once I went to medical school and became a doctor. So I think just even shadowing people, you can learn a lot about at least a lifestyle. And to be able to have more dimension, you need to recognize that right off the bat, because you'll have some people who are like, I can't do this. This is just too much. I can't do it for whatever reason. So, and if you have an artistic bent or you have outside interests, you need to be able to build that into how you structure your job, sometimes even the field you go into from the beginning. People ask me all the time, if you had kids, would you tell them to go into medicine? I'd be like, absolutely. It's the best decision I ever made in my life. I would never change that. Ever. Ever. I sort of think about job choices as very much being, would you want to do something that is service oriented or not? You know, and then once you get into, because you could do service and never see other people, or you could do service and see other people, and then decide, do you like to see other human beings all the time? There are some people who don't, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Um, and then after that comes like the whole problem solving aspect of it. So if you and it helps you narrow down even areas in medicine if you are kind of aware of that. But I say shadow people, visit people, shadow people, see what their life is like. There used to be a program at Rice. I used to have students who used to come by now and again and shadow me. But, you know, I think a lot of places have it. Maybe it's just kind of not advertised, but it doesn't require you having to do it as part of the school curriculum. You can do it on your own. In the beginning, when I was writing, I picked experiences that really stuck with me. And that's why those classroom, writing in class, which I used to kind of go, oh my God, they brought up the whatever comes to your memory first is something worth pursuing because you remembered it for a reason. You know, you may not really understand it. So one of them was about the whole experience with anatomy class in medical school, and which it had a profound experience. And actually, all medical students often say very similar things about it, but you don't really talk about it, or we didn't then. I mean, that was a long time ago. So I wrote this piece about that, and actually, it's called Afternoon with a Corpse. And I'm proud of it because I think it very, for me, did express everything I felt. And sometimes you don't really want to talk about all of that. And it got nominated for a Pushcart Prize. So that was a big deal for me, you know. Another one, which was that first, remember I mentioned that first piece that I ever submitted and it got to be the title of
Yeah.
a collection of essays? That one was very meaningful for me. And that one was called 12 Breaths a Minute. And it was about a patient that I'd had in the ICU who we had to turn off their ventilator. And they're all, they're profound moments in your training, when they're like the first person that dies or this and that, all these kinds of things. And I was very proud of that too. Actually, all of them, because they're like your little baby. You write it, you work on it, you spend time on it. You want it to accurately represent everything that you're saying, even if it's never published, even if it's never ever published. Because for me, the goal, it's good to have it published, but it wasn't like the purpose. And like my husband always jokes, he goes, "How much money did you make off that one?" I'm like, I don't know, nothing.
And it's for you, like the right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's for you. So they're all good.
I love that. I love that. I mean, this has been a wonderful time speaking with you, Dr. Ergun. I wanted to end on any sort of parting words of wisdom that you have. Do you have a favorite quote or like a favorite saying that sort of captures how you feel about medicine, fine arts, life?
There is that saying that chance favors the prepared mind. And I think that's true in everything you do in your life. But for creativity, there's something creative or something that is inspirational or something that provokes a thought or a memory in everything. You have to be open to it. And so that's where that being open is the prepared mind part. And the chances, those events occur all day, all night, everywhere, all the time. And you just have to embrace the possibility.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Ergun. This was truly a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Good luck on your own voyage and go explore. You'll find it for yourself.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in for day 3 of Infusions of Art. I hope to see you all in the next episode. And until then, take care and have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye.